My name is Bob Saudelli. I am a member of the Leominster Historical Commission. During this holiday season, Christmas is only a few days away, what better guest could we have than someone who has lived in the Flats neighborhood of Leominster for 53 years, and one of the most noteworthy of Leominster's citizens, Mr. Louis Charpentier. Just to orient people who are new to Leominster, or people who don't know, who have lived in Leominster, who don't know where the Flats area is, it is the level-off flats section along Merriam Avenue, where you see the beautiful Christmas display that Mr. Charpentier has created over a long period of years, and which many of you saw in the beautiful Christmas special that the LATV has been running, the Christmas 2003 special, which Dennis Cormier videotaped and edited, and that's a masterpiece and should win an award. Mr. Charpentier has been a very busy gentleman in the last few days. He's worked on the Christmas special, setting up the display on Merriam Avenue. He has been in the interview program Inside Leominster with Mayor Mazzarella, and now he is here today for this interview. So I am pleased and honored to welcome to the studios of LATV Mr. Louis Charpentier, Louis, as he has given me, as he wants to be called, truly citizen extraordinaire. Mayor Mazzarella referred to you during the program as Mr. Christmas, Father Christmas, Mr. Leominster, a tradition. You were referred to as a legend. A caller on the show phoned in and said you are a treasure, and indeed that's true. Your accolades and awards and citations, there are so many of them, and they're all so well deserved. You are a person truly, as one of your awards states, who has made a difference in North County and beyond. Louis, you are indeed a citizen extraordinaire. Mayor Mazzarella said you put us, Leominster, on the map. And I would like, for a moment, the viewing audience to picture a map of North America and the United States and Canada, and to move north hundreds of miles and to go back in time to 1910 in December, to a little place, a farming area, not even a village, called St. Claude, Quebec. December, and something important happened. What happened on December 10th in 1910? December 10th, was it right?
December 10th. I was born December 10th.
You were born in that little French-Canadian farming village.
Well, there's only about 800 people that I know that lives there.
That lived there then and now today?
Now I'm sure that it hasn't grown up.
It hasn't grown.
Maybe it got smaller.
And just to set it in time, the other day, December 17th in 2003, was the centennial of the Wright brothers, the first heavier-than-air flight, the 100th anniversary of that flight.
That's
and
right.
You were born in 1910, and this was first flight was December 17th, 1903. So it wasn't too long before you were born that.
Just about 7 years, yeah.
About 7 years.
Yeah.
And so you have indeed lived through lots and lots of history and lots of changes, and we'll get into some of those perhaps during the interview. But I gave the interview some thought, and I tried to, because it's the holiday season, and I tried to tie the holiday season with your talent together, and I've come up with the theme gifts. And you indeed, gifts and giving, and you indeed are gifted in your attitude, in your talent, your ability. This gift of wood carving, where you can make inanimate items just stand out, and you bring out the life in them. When did this wood carving gift start?
What was that?
When did your gift of this talent start?
Well, I've been drawing for about 90 years. I mean, because I'm sure that I was no more than 3 years old, because I went to school, I was 5 years old. So I had been drawing for, it seemed to me, a long time before that. And then I started wood carving when I was 7 years old.
So you were
and until I came to this country when I was 12 years old, I had about 100 different animals carved out of wood, and a barn and wagons to go with it. Give everything away, and never keeping one. Kids, you know, just give away. And 50 years after, I asked the fellow if he had any more. He says no. He says, you give one here, give one there. They all disappear. So he didn't have any more. So I have nothing.
So you started out as a child, and no formal lessons in drawing or anything like that. It was just a God-given gift.
Well.
And you, your themes, your subjects were the farm animals. But if we look at some of the items you have brought in, your beautiful carvings, the themes include animals, but a lot of nature scenes, scenes from American history, scenes even from your years on in the flats, because you graciously allowed me to come up and visit your home the other night, and I saw your workshop, and I saw your many of these carvings. And while we were there, as a matter of fact, there was a neighbor who has enjoyed your display for years, and he brought in, I think, his daughter, his teenage daughter, and one of her friends, and they, wow, were they impressed. Yeah. The kids, the young ladies were very, very much impressed. So your work is really inspirational. But the themes, animals, nature, some of the neighborhood scenes. I remember seeing you had an incident in a neighborhood where there was this little girl and there was a dog, one of your carvings that isn't here, but where she has a dandelion or a buttercup or something.
Yeah, and, a dandelion.
Yeah. So your themes from nature, from life in general, from your childhood in St. Claude. You showed one that I was very much interested in, this little anecdote. You were up on a hill, and it's the first time you were a little kid, and it's the first time you saw a train.
Oh, yeah.
So today, a big deal, a train. But I mean...
1917.
You know, you saw a train, and a train was a fairly... To you, it was a...
well, something that I wanted to see. We could... It was about 6 miles from the house. We could hear them once in a while, you know. But never saw one until then.
And so your first time, and you have that depicted on one of your sculptures at home. Right.
Well, I got about 40 of those.
Yes,
those carvings.
They're beautiful. And one of the things that is the carvings are so detailed, so detailed. How do you get that detail in them? What is the process? Hammer and chisel, or is it? And I know the answer to this because you've explained it to me, but could you tell us something about how you create these works of art?
About 70 years ago, we used to, I was working at New England Novelty, and we were engraving bracelets made out of Catalin. It was the Catalin was the plastic in between celluloid and the present plastic. And we used to engrave them. So I learned how to use a so-called phrasing machine. And the best way I can explain what a phrasing machine is, if you take a drill press, put it on the side, you have a chuck. You can put dentist drill, and you can put cutters up to 1 inch in diameter, and then bring the work to it. So that's why my carving, I never use softwood. I always use maple, oak, and such hardwood. And it's otherwise, I mean, if I didn't have that machine, I certainly couldn't do it with a knife, because it can be done with a soft wood, but not hard.
And you can get the tremendous detail.
Oh yeah, yeah. I never touched anything.
You could put a block of hardwood in front of me in a phrasing machine, and you'd end up with wood chips. So I mean, they'd be very detailed wood chips, but they'd be a pile of wood chips. So you are indeed blessed. You your family came from St. Claude to Leominster in what year?
In 1923.
1923. And you
Yeah.
were at that time how old?
I was 12 years old.
You were 12 years old. So you were almost
Yeah,
a teenager.
almost because you see, I would have been 13 in December.
So your family located, obviously not on the flats because you've been there only 53 years, which is a long time. But back then, where did your family locate?
On Middle Street to start with, we stayed there about 8 months, and then we moved on 3rd Street. And then, we went from 3rd Street to 4th Street, and we lived there.
So the French Hill neighborhood, which was so typical because French Canadian folks, immigrants coming in, and which is so typical of that era.
You see, you come to a country where they only speak English. I mean, most of them, and it's pretty tough to learn. You know, it takes a while before you learn the because. In Canada, I don't think I had heard English more than 2 or 3 times in my life out there. So over here, well, it takes a couple of years before you can speak English
You
well
learn
enough.
very well, I assure you. I wish I could speak French at all, as well as you speak English. Now, when you came to Leominster, it wasn't, I don't think, it wasn't even a city then. I think it was still a town, and it had only a population of
12,000 people, yeah.
And you went to St. Cecilia's School,
Yeah.
to Leominster High School.
Yeah.
When you started your work career, it was very, very interesting, because was that the Depression era then, or just before the Depression? Or?
A little before the Depression. I started working for Fawcett & Grant right here in the, where the
On Manning Avenue here?
Right here.
Right here,
there
where,
was a
where
shop
this
right
building is located.
So I worked there for 7 months, but...
that was 75 years ago, approximately, right?
Yeah.
So,
and then they got slow, so I got laid off. So I went to work somewhere else, New England Novelty. And so I worked there for, until Depression came, then they folded up. And one day I stopped over to New England Novelty and asked for work. No, they're not hiring. So the owner, Harry Levine, came out and asked me. I was watching to see what they were doing. He says, "What are you doing?" "I'm looking for a job. What can you do? Maybe help you with the designing into the business. Come on in." So it was 9 o'clock in the morning. I started then. I was 20 years old, and I worked until I was 67.
So you're 47 years for the same company.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was interesting because I was head designer there. Yeah.
Well, 47 years at one place of employment is that doesn't happen very often today anymore.
No, I don't think so.
But you didn't start out as head designer. Could you tell me how?
Yeah. Well, I had to learn how to use a phrasing machine. Phrasing the bracelets, you know, engraving the bracelets. And then, after I knew, then I went into the sample department, and we didn't even have a sample department. We had to go from one machine to another, ask the man that was working the machine, "Would you do this for me, or let me do this?" and so on, until I told the boss, I says, "How about making a sample department where we could just have all the machine and then not lose time going from here to there?" And finally, we got the sample room, and then after a little while, I was the boss in there.
Head designer. Now, these samples you're talking about, these were samples that the designers, you and the other designers, made from scratch, which would then be models for
that's right.
the product.
I have a few things, no jewelry, but I mean, I have a few things that we have designed there, especially the buttons. I must have designed thousands upon thousands of buttons in my 47 years.
Interesting, and that really is very important to the history of the plastics industry in Leominster.
That's right.
So you were a pioneer in that industry. You, as one of your many achievements, had the honor of, I've never been, Louis, I've never been invited to the Smithsonian to demonstrate anything, and I never will be. So that you can bet on that. You were invited to the Smithsonian Institution, the Smithsonian Institute, to
1988.
1988.
Yeah.
Could you please tell us about why you were invited?
Yeah.
And we know why, but
Yeah.
and about that must have been a great experience.
Well, what they do is take a state and get the artists and then bring them to the Smithsonian, and then the painting or carving or all kinds of things. We were just about 100 people from Massachusetts that were working there. And while I was there, I made this three wolves chasing the 5 deer.
This one over
and
here.
that's what I mean. I had brought my phrasing machine with me, and then I had cut out everything to ready to engrave, to carve. And then, well, when I left there, it was like this here, where I had in the 2 weeks. Besides conducting some classes, showing the kids how to do styrofoam carving, and then, well, a few TV and radio sessions.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but
That is indeed beautiful. And you were there in Washington for a 2-week period.
2 weeks, yeah. Yeah.
That certainly is a
We're over
cultural
the 4th of
achievement.
July and saw the fireworks there too.
Great experience.
Yeah.
You just alluded to it a moment ago, painting. When people think of Louis Charpentier, they think of the beautiful Christmas display and they think of the carvings, but I learned something. You are a very, very gifted artist, and portraits, and thank you. And we have just a few of them here, but Mayor Mazzarella had mentioned how during the interview, I remember one of the persons, he asked you the question, I think, who was someone who interested you the most, someone who was very inspirational to you, and you mentioned FDR.
That's right.
And this is FDR.
That's right.
What a beautiful reproduction. And when you work, you work, now I know that you didn't go to and sit with FDR, you work from photographs.
That's right.
So
yeah.
on the back of this is the photo.
Yeah, I take it from there, yeah.
Okay. And General Eisenhower
Yeah.
became president, Ike,
Yeah.
and Jackie Kennedy Onassis. These are just a few of them. You certainly catch their essence. And
I used to go to school to teach the kids how to do styrofoam carving. I bring this here, show them, and I would tell them, "This is my grandfather." Oh boy, he looks like Einstein.
That's something. And this is you and your beautiful wife.
That's right.
And then there's the Pope.
Yeah.
Pope John Paul II. And I won't take it out now, but it's in there. You have many drawings. You have Mayor Mazzarella's picture, which is one of the portraits
That's
of
right.
the mayor. Now, those portraits in the City Hall, many of them were done by one of your proteges.
Yeah, Zygmunt Albright. Yeah.
Who
yeah.
was a great portrait.
Oh, he was very good. I mean, when Monty was there, I didn't have to sit down and do any drawing. I mean, he would do the drawing instead of me.
And then when he passed away, you then did the other mayors. Now, which of the mayors, the more recent mayors, have you done this?
No, that's the only mayor that I
Just
have done.
Mayor
Yeah,
Mazzarella.
yeah.
Okay, very, very good. See, I thought there were maybe a couple of
No,
others.
no.
Okay. Well, you're multi-talented. You certainly are. Louis, you had said in the Inside Leominster interview that I viewed it, and there was a quote, and you said, "I'd rather give than to receive," and that positive, beautiful attitude that's been your life. Thousands of people over half a century from around the world, if you look at your guest book,
Yeah.
have enjoyed your gift of giving, your time, your talent, and your art.
right.
You've given your teaching ability. You've taught children. You still do some instructional classes. You visited the schools. You do some instruction on carving at the National Plastics Museum. That beautiful special that LATV produced, Dennis and the folks the Christmas special, where it was really Jack. The other day when I was looking at it, Jack Sally mentioned during part of it, it's beautiful, and he walked by and he said, "I hope you have your box of Kleenex because it was so beautiful."
Right.
Your family setting things up, and then the scenes in the evening, and Dennis got the snow, and the people visiting, and the little kids, and the manger scene, and this beautiful violin solo rendition of Silent Night, which, by the way, in the interview, Mr. Albert, Victor Albert, very talented musician, but you took up the violin for a short time, and you sold your violin. And your not the performing arts, but your gift is in the visual arts, the carving, the sculpting, in the portraiture. But that rendition of Silent Night over at St. Anna's, Mia made a reference to who was that musician, Victor Bachelia, who can make a violin sing, Mr. Bachelia, and he could play Silent Night just as that beautiful rendition that Dennis put into the tape.
Wonderful.
Your masterpiece, before we get into our demonstration, I consider it your masterpiece. You have the Lord Jesus Christ, the crucified Christ, suspended over the altar at St. Cecilia's. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So inspirational. I think every time anybody looks at that image, I think Louis is remembered in those prayers too. Okay?
I'm sure.
That I consider your masterpiece. And again, it's that whole idea of the giving that comes from you.
Yeah.
Would you consider that maybe your greatest work?
I really think so, yes. I mean, I've seen a lot of crucifix in Europe and everything, and, well, I would say mine is almost as good as theirs.
I would say as good. And that one, not the phrasing machine, that one, you showed me the saw you used.
A hand saw.
The hand saw and a hammer and a chisel. So that was sculpted.
That's all I use,
that
yeah.
was sculpted.
It's a tree that I cut down from the brothers Notre Dame. They had asked me to make a crucifix for them, and to match their chapel, which was white oak. So they gave me some boards, and I put them together and gave them a crucifix, about so big. And then when I told them, I says, "Now here's your crucifix. You have done this for me. I did this for you. You do something for me. Could you give me, let me cut a tree from your athletic field so I can carve a life-size crucifix?" So they says, "Take whatever you want." So I found a 26-inch red oak, and I was hoping it was about 7 feet without a branch, and I was hoping it would be as good inside as the outside. And so it was a beautiful piece of wood, and I brought it home and let it dry for about a year, but oiling it every week so as to make sure that it wouldn't crack, because if it started cracking, I don't know if I would have started. But anyway, when it was all done, I told Monsignor Gravel, I says, "I have a crucifix that I have made for St. Cecilia's. Would you come over and see it?" Well, he says, "I already saw it because it was on TV." So, but he came over, and it's there since. Yeah,
it's really
42 years about.
It's beautiful, beautiful masterpiece. Louis, why don't we take a look at some of the carvings you've brought in, and maybe you can also, I know we want you, and you have consented to give us a little demonstration.
Sure.
So maybe we can talk about some of these.
Well, this one here, the first time I went to a midnight mass, There is the churchway about a mile from here, and then near the river there's my godfather's house, my grandmother, and then an uncle. And then the neighbors had asked me, so here I am there, sitting there and going to the mass.
So this is a scene, you got the idea from your childhood.
That's right,
that's
right, yeah.
And this one?
This one here is the Midnight Rider, Paul Revere. When they were here for the 250th anniversary, Mayor Perler called me, and he says to me, he says, have you got anything that we could give the mayor of Leominster, England, some wood carving? Well, he says, I says, yeah, I got a few things, so I told him about this here, and he says, well, this is perfect. So then he asked me how much. I says, $475. So there was a little hesitation back at the plant. So I says to my wife, what did he say? We give it to them as a gift. So I went and presented it to him in the afternoon. And I says, the British are coming. Yeah, but he says they're leaving because we're leaving this afternoon. So they were going away.
So
yeah.
The duplicate of this one went to
Leominster, England. Yeah.
Okay, very great,
Yeah.
great. This one, this
here, the end of the trail.
end of the trail.
It's a well-known carving. I mean,
Remington, maybe Frederick.
I don't know just who did it, but I mean, it's very similar to this here. I took it from one of those statues that here.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. This is the Smithsonian piece.
Yeah.
Now this one, there's an interesting little story. This is from your childhood, and I see a bear, but I see the bear is on a chain, and there's a man with his hand up telling the people to stay back, and I see a little dog, and is Louis in here?
Hanging on to my mother's dress skirt right there.
Right there.
That's right, hanging on.
Right there, there you are.
I was 2.5 years old. And my mother says to me, how can you remember? You were 2.5 years old. Well, I says, I remember like if it was yesterday. It was a beautiful Sunday, and my dad came home from church. He says there was a bear doing some tricks in front of the church. So all of a sudden he's in front of our house, so we all go and look at it. And this shows the man telling my dad to send our little dog away because the dog was heading towards the bear. And the bear's name was Rosalie.
Ah. So a trained bear.
Yeah.
It's Rosalie, the trained bear, 1913.
Yeah.
That's when that...
I was 2.5 years old.
I'm going to turn this one around if it's all right. This one shows a bear and some salmon in a stream.
You see that so often on TV, huh? I mean, the bear catching the fish, you know.
In the wildlife.
I was having a haircut, and then I saw that into a magazine. I asked the guy, can I have this? He said, sure. So I just go ahead and made that, yeah.
So you're always on the lookout for new ideas.
Yeah.
And you get them.
Right now I'm making a bull, which is a cowboy that's just jumping off of it. So I'm halfway done with it. I mean, it's not finished yet.
Now this is this Oriental, this dragon.
Yeah.
Now this is so different from, the subject matter is so different from your other work. What's this? What is this?
Well, this here, there was a gentleman from Providence that came over because they would come and ask me a question about plastic, you know, and then sometimes I made models for him and everything. And he wanted one of those dragons and for his daughter for Christmas. So he gave me a little picture about an inch long. So I says, I went to the library. I got the head of one, the body of another, the tail of another, the hands, and so on and so forth. And so I made it, and then well, everybody seemed to like it, so I made one for myself also.
Of course, beautiful. Wow, and the intricacy and the detail is...
The ball is made out of a rod of, it's turned on, I turned the ball.
On the phrasing, that was on the phrasing machine.
Yeah.
And then, now it's this one out of styrofoam. I'm going to bring this...
every year, at Christmas time, the City Hall in Boston sense for artists to get pictures of something like this here. So I send this over, and then they return it to me with a purple
Citation.
ribbon, and then some kind of a citation here.
Most creative medium is presented to Louis Charpentier, 26th day of September 2003.
Yeah.
William Francis Galvin, Secretary of the Commonwealth.
And then it says
creative
here, the saying on there, I got, please, Mr. Snowman, put on your hat or you catch a cold.
And you do put a caption or a label on your work. And
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Louis.
Yeah.
Let's see. You create all these beautiful pieces. Let's see how you go about it. Could you
Okay.
give us a demonstration, please?
Yes, certainly. We'll.
And we.
You can bring this over here if you'd like.
Okay, Kevin. Thank you.
Okay, I'm all set here. I guess I don't want to. All right. There we are. Beautiful. Okay. First of all, a drawing is made. I'm going to carve a little duck, and a drawing is made. Then I go into the bandsaw and cut it out, and then just mark it a little so as to see what we're doing, and then I just mark the other side, and little wing. So now the top of the head. Now we take a, it doesn't have to be a fancy knife, it's just a kitchen knife. So when you cut styrofoam, you have to saw back and forth so as to make something which will be nice and sharp. Otherwise, if you just go like if you would a piece of wood, it would be very rough, you know. So by sawing, it's just there it is, the head is started. Now, the top of the head of a duck is always narrower than the rest of the. Now, you always leave a little more material than you think you will use, and just cut it down afterwards. Now, I'll round this over, and round this over, and then the wing. The little wing sticks out, and then do the same thing here. And then just an angle. So now round everything. The little wing is rounded over. The little tail is made a little pointier. And round this over here, and round this over here. And also just now the other side. Now, I used to use sandpaper, but I found this a little brick, like it's a sponge with sandpaper on it. So it's so much easier to handle. And then cut out everything that is sharp. I mean, if you have a sharp line, round it over. And now, see how much nicer it is than a piece of sandpaper, because it's easy to handle. See those sharp lines? Get rid of it. Little wing. Now just make the beak a little narrower. Then you just take and mark. And then we just take and do the same thing on the other side. And just mark his little cheek and give him a little beak. Then little wings. Then do the same thing here. See where it takes me about 10 minutes to make one of these here? If it was wood, it would take me 4 or 5 hours. Now we'll just kind of give him a little orange beak.
Yeah.
There used to be a farm here in Leominster where there was hundreds and hundreds of ducks, white ducks, and it was so beautiful with all their nice yellow or orange beak. So now all I got to do is to put an eye. Well, I'll give him a blue eye instead of black eye, but it'll be all right. So, and then we'll give him a little so he can breathe. Now we just take and set it onto a piece of this material is different than this here. This is a regular styrene, well, 75 years ago, no, 25 years, no, 52 years ago, when there was no styrofoam before then, a sheet a foot wide, 3 feet long, 2 inches thick would cost me 75 cents. Now it's costing me $2. So instead of for my decoration up the house, I use insulation for the houses. So it works quite well, and it's now if we want. See, we can shape this by hand. I mean, if you want. Now we'll just take and sandpaper a little here, and then we put a little water, and then my name. O3, and then now never use anything else but Elmer's glue to cement this together, to put that together, for the simple reason that if anything else, we'll just take and eat the entire thing, and well, you lose it entirely. We'll just close this here and make sure. Now, then 53 years ago, there was, at least I don't think there was any this Elmer's glue, and I made the first thing that I made to decorate my yard was the manger, and the kneeling down figures are about so big, and not having any glue, I used toothpicks put together, you know, in order to have a three-dimensional thing. I had toothpicks. And then when the glue came out, then I took everything apart, and so here you are.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you.
That's yours.
Thank you. That is so nice of you. Louis, I to conclude our program, I want to thank you. Here again, another example of you always giving, and your life has been one of giving. I want to thank you for giving your time today to the viewers of Leominster and to the LATV to share with us your art, and it's been wonderful. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and I also want to thank you are truly a Leominster citizen extraordinaire.
Well, and, thank you.
And I want to thank Carl Pimarini, Jack Sully, Kevin Moran for their giving of their time and talent to present this program to the viewing audience of Leominster. So again, Louis, thank you, and Merry Christmas to you. I
want to wish you a Merry Christmas, and to everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
New Year.
Sure. All right.
Thanks, Louis.
You're welcome.